Hey guys, Bart the Nature Guy here. Talking about like kind of lashing poles together. So it's still part of the survival piece. Last week we worked on tarps and different tarp designs using paper, and this week is more about using poles to create a structure. And so out there you're going to see a lot of wood that you can use to create structure, but if you're stuck in a situation where you need to get those poles together to kind of build a base for yourself overnight or for multiple days, there's some ways to do it and get those poles lashed together in kind of a nice or succinct way, using kind of minimal amount of rope. So, and then you can look at the tarp option there, or also kind of a debris hut, which we'll get into down the road. So but a lot of times in survival situations, if you look back in the history of architecture, like the triangle design, like the pyramid uses that, it's a four-sided, triangle design, but what gets a stool to stand at the least amount of legs is three, right? You can't do it with two. Like that's like if you were to lash three poles together with right angles, it's just gonna stand and tip backwards or forwards. It's not gonna work very well. So, in order to get a structure to stay up, you need at least three poles. So we're going to work on the 90 degree first. And you can imagine, like if you wanted to build a structure that stood on its own with those, with that 90 degree, that kind of 90 degree time, you'd almost have to make like a cube, which is up to 8 sticks. Or even if you made a triangle on the top, and you could lower that number a little bit. But for the most part, if you wanted to do full 90 degree box house style, it maximizes distance and effort and stuff, because a tripod design, really you lose kind of the top there, like it really just closed down. So as far as like why we build homes the way we do, or the structures that we build that are square, it really is about maximizing space, so you can stack something directly on top, like another floor and whatnot. It's like why they make school pizzas squares. They can load up the whole thing. If you had a bunch of circles, you're losing all the space kind of in between those circles. So and a school doesn't want to waste that energy, and they want to give you that nice square piece of pizza that so many of us, especially probably the teachers watching this, understand. And same thing here, a triangle kind of removes a lot of that space, right in here. Like if we drew a square here, a triangle here loses a lot of headroom basically, but it also maximizes heat retention in a survival situation. So you're not trying to heat up that space. And when we look at a structure, we're looking at a tripod that might not be straight, triangle all even sided. Like this might only be 3 feet high here, but 8 feet long pole. So that way you can kind of slide into that more like a small little debris hut, where your feet are kind of going towards the back, your head's up here, and basically two poles have, if they're 8 foot, those are all 8 foot poles. Maybe this is only 3 to 4 feet high on two of them, but there's one long one that allows you to kind of build that structure way back. So that's what we're kind of working on. Teaching this kind of stuff and teaching with knots as I set that down is always a little interesting. So what I want to do is, most of your classes are going to have something that looks, I'm going to hand out a little something that looks like this, and it's basically 6 sticks and a little bit of string attached to it. And you're basically going to be working with these sticks to create tripods, right angle squares. And so we're going to use these sticks. I'm going to be using larger lumber just because I think it's visually a little bit easier than using the string and the sticks. Out there, those are really uneven. There's little knots and stuff on them from little twigs sticking out and other little branches. So just know this is not really the optimal design quality using kind of lumber style stuff, because it's so smooth. No matter how tight you get these, it's easy to slide these through, where in a natural setting like that back there, there's going to be something to kind of hold that knot up in place. The way you put them might be a little bit different, because maybe these sticks, there's not a whole lot of straight sticks back there. So, this is all going to look different, but for the sake of the conversation today, this is a great way to start. So, what we're going to start with today is the right angle. It's basically like making a cross. And so, one way I like to do this, or kind of teach this, is, first you got to get your string attached to here. Now there's lots of ways to do it. You're going to hear a lot of people talk about using a clove hitch. Here's the deal. I don't teach it because I'm terrible at the clove hitch. It's like the easiest knot in the world. My brain does not see the X, the loop through, slide the knot through, and it all cinches up. So I use double half hitches a lot. I also do double half hitch, or I'll just do a couple different half hitches, just kind of a pretzel knot or a square knot over the top, just to get it settled in here. And all you're wanting to do is get that, so the knot's kind of off to the corner here, front corner, And all you're gonna do, that's your vertical, okay? And then I'm gonna bring in the horizontal, okay? And it's gonna slide down and it kind of rests on there. So if you can kind of see that, now you have your 90 degree. You're gonna have to hold it in place. This is where it gets a little tricky with these 90 degrees. They don't just, you're kind of having to hold two pieces right in line here. And all you're gonna do, you're gonna hear me go up, over, horizontal, vertical, all that. So you're gonna bring this rope that's now this knot is kind of coming under. So again, you have it with the horizontal right there. You bring that horizontal so it kind of rests on that rope. You just tie it around. Feel free to hit stop and pause if you need to. You have still a long tag line. I like to leave long tag lines because we're going to tie this together at the end. Some people will finish with again like a clove hitch or another knot. I tend to like to tie the two ropes together at the end. So we're going to bring this one forward. So now it's coming up towards you. So if you're doing this on a table, it's coming up towards you. If you have it staring at you, it's kind of coming at you. I'm kind of doing this in reverse for the sake of the video. And it's going up and over. Now you're going to bring it around the vertical, around the back of the vertical. If it's facing you, you're going to bring that string forward. And now you have it going down the horizontal. And now you're going around the back of the vertical. It comes forward to the front of the vertical and goes up and over on the horizontal. Goes around the back. You're keeping it as tight as you can. This is the lashing part. So we're lashing these two together, getting them joined together, bringing it down, goes behind the back of the vertical. I have two. And now I'm starting to create my third lash, and I always just use threes. That's just the easiest way to do it for me. I just always remember I lash and frap in threes. It can be different given the rope that you're using or the stick that you're using. So now we're sitting here. You can see that. I don't like that last one. There we go. So we have three here. I try to get these even if you can. It's not totally necessary, but it is kind of nice. So it looks nice and even right there. So that is the lashing. So you have three here, I have three in the back. So when I flip this backwards, there's three there, so it's threes. Now, that is called lashing. So right now we have the longer rope end. We also have that first knot that we created, and we have the tag end of that. What we're gonna start doing now is binding. And we're gonna bind right across here. So it's taking these ropes and tightening them down so that that knot or this kind of lashing that we created now gets to cinch down. And the way we do that, we bring this around the back, and now we're going to take it across the front. So you see how that lays down and comes across just on the knot part. See that? I don't know if you can see that with the sunlight, but you can see where it comes across. And now we're just going to start running it in this gap, coming around the backside now, back over to the same spot. You're going 3 times in the same spot. 2 and 3. So there's 3, and I'm tightening this down. I mean, you can really jump on these to tighten this down. So there's the 3 in the middle. Now what I'm doing is taking it, I'll try to hold it up here for you. I'm going to take that extra tag in from that very first knot I made that I attached it, and I'm going to tie a couple half hitches in here. Now again, some people might finish along the actual stick that they're using with the clove hitch. I'm going to attach the 2 ropes together through a couple half hitches. I feel like I can get it pretty tight that way. So now I've tied those 2 strings together, and now we have a nice right angle. Looks like a cross in the end. So there we go. There's the back side of it. And then getting close, you can kind of see the 3, the 3, the 3, the 3, and the 3. 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. And that is a nice 90-degree right angle lashing and frapping of putting 2 poles together. So that can be used also. It can be used like this in a pup head style. So if you wanted to do this and then create 2 of those and get in between and slide up underneath, so if one end's here, and that's the ground, you can also use it that way. But for the most part, there's other ways to do that, and I'll teach you that in a second. This is going to be the 90 degree. Now, if you wanted to make a whole house style structure, that's going to need at least 8 poles to kind of create a cube. So that's why it takes a lot more kind of, not only string, it takes a lot more good sticks to make that all happen and lash it together and have it feel freestanding. But again, it can kind of be tippy, and when you get those flat walls like that, the wind can affect it. When you deal with triangles, if the wind's coming, it's kind of getting split over that point, and so it's hard for the wind to really pick up and really destroy a structure that's in that triangle format. That's why pyramids have stood so long, and so many of the great structures in humanity that have been created have been based around that triangle design. So let's move on to the next one. So you can hear a school. So this is the Tamarack Nature Center, really cool area. It's out in White Bear Lake. There's a school right over here, and there are just huge amounts of forts and structures buried into these woods. They have a whole free play area. Right behind me is a free play area. There's just like logs and stuff and hay bales for kids to sit on and play on, and structures behind me. So it's like it's turning into, like, even though it's a little far away from me from where I live in Minneapolis, it's a super fun place to visit and go spend some time. So now we're working on the structure of 3, so the tripod design. So we have our 3 poles that we have lashed these together. So we get them lined up again. Now, one of the things that's you're going to want to feel these, if you use your other 3 poles that I gave you those sticks for hopefully your classes, or if you're using, you can use pencils, you can use anything. So what's going to happen is you tighten these, they want to do this, and they want to kind of bind together. So one of the big issues is just kind of making sure that you keep them so they're together and flat. Okay. Now, one thing we're going to do is this is going to be like what I call the alternating lashing system, where it's going to start weaving in and out of these sticks. And it takes a pretty natural process. So you have this one over here, it's tied on. Now we're going to bring this one behind. I'm going to lean these kind of up against me as I do this. And then you bring it around. Now, one of the easiest ways to do this is bring that string all the way up and over like that, and then slide it down. So, and then it weaves in and out like that. So that is one of the easiest ways. Now I'm kind of weaving in and out. I take it around the back, bring it forward, come around the front, and again, bring it all the way around. And I'm kind of creating, as you can see, a set of lashings that are going to be pretty tight, pretty together, and again in 3s. So same concept of 3s. There. So if you see that, I got 3, 3, 3. So nice and easy. It's probably, I could probably make this a little bit tighter. On the back, it looks nice and easy. You got the 2 in the middle. Now this is where some people, you'll see different ideas around this, but I still just stick to the 3s all the time. So now we're going to get into the frapping, which is that binding of these together. So I'm going to hold my finger right here, bring this through, and now I'm going to create basically circles around this area right here. So I'm pulling this around. I'm just going to go 3 times for the sake of just kind of keeping it simple. Now I have those 3. I still have that tag from that first knot. I'm going to bring it around the front and start doing that same thing where you're bringing that rope through 3 times. 2 and 3. And again, some people finish this rope off, against this. I tend to just use this and tie these 2 together. It works really nice. For me, you might have a different design or style that you prefer. I tie those together, and there we go. We have our 3 bound and lash. See how simple that is? So you got the 3 here. Okay, I ended up with 2 here. I could have done another one, but we have 3 wraps here, 3 wraps here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here is kind of the concept. Now we bring it out, and it should very easily freestand. So it stands completely on its own. You just angle them out. Those frapping joints kind of allow it to twist into place nicely. So we're all set there. So there is a nice simple, what I call the alternating or overlapping lashing for 3 poles for a tripod. We're going to go through another one. It's just a little bit different. It's a little bit, I find it actually in some ways it feels like it's going to be easier, and it actually performs a little bit more difficult. And it's about holding these all together. So I'm going to try and get these about even so this knot is about the same place. as the other ones, so you can kind of see them side by side in the end. So I'm going to kind of line that up. So hopefully this is about the same. Now, this one's a little bit different. All you're going to do here, sorry I bumped my tripod. All you're going to do here is actually take this, so you tie it on, you have a little extra line here, again for that first knot, and all you're going to do is bring it around 3 times. Very, very simple design. But again, these things are going to want to condense and crumble like that. You're going to try and keep them flat. I'm actually kind of holding them up against my body, trying to keep it pretty tight, coming around 3 times, besides the knot, 2 and 3. And I'm trying not to overlap. If you notice, I'm trying to kind of keep it so it's all flat and together. So we can kind of see that. So we're here. Now we're going to start doing the frapping, which is the joining or binding in the middle. So we're going to take that right here. It's on the top, so I'm going to start on the top, bring it through. Can you see that? And that's what I'm saying with these. With this design, it doesn't, the overlapping kind of sinks it in place, but you can hold at the top pretty well, and you can kind of widen here at the gap, so you can kind of sneak this rope through. 2. And 1 more through. 3. Okay. Then you can bring it across and through again. So you're bringing it across that center post. Oh, it just popped on me, but we'll get it back in a second here. So now it's back again. Now the string is in the behind, and you just bring it back down, cinch that together. 2. And last one, 3. Find your tag from the other starting knot and tying that together. Now, last week we were talking about tarps and tarp designs. This structure, when we put 2 together like this, you can see this. I'll put this one here. I'll put this one over here. What's nice with this is you have a freestanding structure, and with just 1 more pull, and if you had a tarp right there, and that tarp can go over, and you have a freestanding tent structure using a couple different types of lashings. One would be that kind of the interweaving lashing, and one would be taken completely around before you do the frapping. So, and we also have our 90-degree lashing here as well. Again, I use 3s all the time, and as I'm doing this, I just kind of think of 3s, wrapping 3 times. It just keeps it simple, frapping the same thing. So take care, everybody. Have a great week. It's beautiful weather. I hope you get a chance to get outside. I'll be putting out my nature engagement video this week as well. So take care, everybody. Bart the Nature Guy. Peace out.